Hey everyone, welcome back to Snack Time. My name is Ben, and in today's video, we are going to be taking a look at Ghost. So Ghost is an alternative to other platforms like WordPress and Joomla, and for a long time I've been running the Snack Time on WordPress, but with a lot of the recent drama and back and forth, I decided to give another content management system a shot, and so I landed on Ghost. It's fast, it can do a whole bunch of things for you, but it may not have all the bells and whistles that you are used to with WordPress, but it also doesn't require you to install a plugin or add-on for everything that you need to do. I do want to take some time to show you what you can and can't do. Then I want to show you how to install it on your own server using Docker, Portainer, and Nginx Proxy Manager. Let's go ahead and jump in and let me show you the platform. So when you first set it up, you'll be taken to this screen right here. And to get to the admin portal, you'll just type in /ghost at the top of your browser and your address bar. So I've already set up my username and password, but basically what you do is it'll ask you for your title of your site, your email address, and the password that you want to establish. And then once you're past that part, you'll be taken to the dashboard that shows you any sort of sign-ins and sign-ups that you've had. It gives you an easy place to create posts and pages. So that terminology is very close to like what WordPress says. Posts are like blog entries or news articles, and then your pages are something that's a little bit more static. So if you want to create a new post, very easy. We're just going to click on New Post here. We're going to click New, give it a title. So we're going to say Test Post. And then you can start adding, you can start typing, whatever you want. And you can also add other different things too. You can add like images. You can use a markdown language if you'd like. HTML, you could set up a gallery, a divider, call to action, buttons, videos, images, audio, pretty much everything. YouTube and all these other different embedded products too. So like if you have a YouTube video, you just punch in the URL here and it will pull down the thumbnail, put everything in there and embed it for you. So very straightforward and very handy and very basic. Like it's not too many frills here. We can click on this little icon on the right and that gives us more options. I'll take a look at those just a little bit closer. So we can set up what we want the URL to be. So we can change that just a little bit. And we can also say, maybe I want to set the publishing date. I can adjust that a little in the past. I don't think you can schedule that, but it's not that I'm seeing here. You set up tags. Tags are a very easy way for it to sort through the different posts that you make and pages too. Then you can set this to have a certain access. So let me get rid of my face here. So if you look right here, we can set different posts and pages to be accessible based off of the member level. So Ghost is very much designed so that if you do have a pay service or something, you can isolate your content so that maybe your contributors have certain access that maybe a normal like public user wouldn't have. So something to keep in mind there. You can set up all this through there as well. And let's take a look at pages. So pages is going to be very similar. Same kind of editing style, pretty much identical to what you would see in a post. But pages, you can also change the URL here. So if there's maybe a test page that you want to set up, or in my instance with my page, I have one that is for Rack Nerd plans. So I wanted to make a page so people could go to that URL and be able to see all the different deals that Rack Nerd offers. So I set that up with a specific URL that I can always link. If we go back, and let's go under the little gear icon here. And again, I'm going to make myself small so that you can kind of see all the options and I don't have to worry about my head getting in the way. So we have all these are all the options that you'll have within Ghost. It starts at the top with the page description and title, editable here. As we scroll down, we can pick our time zone. Then we can say, you know, what language are we typically publishing in? Our metadata, how's our page going to look like on Google when they spider it? Same thing as with posts, and I have an X card and also the Facebook one too. So this is how this is going to look. Maybe we can customize this a little bit. And same thing with Facebook. So there's no surprise as far as what your page is going to look like if somebody does share your URL on these social media platforms. Do you want to make your site private? Is this one that is like specifically only for people that have the password? Then you could do that as well. Then we have staff, so people that have privileges to be able to make changes to your site. Just punch in the email address and their like permissions level. This is where you can customize the appearance of your site. So let's jump into that one. I'll show you that. So we can change the color, you know, change the accent color a little bit. That will change the color of these little buttons. We can change the logo if we want to add our own logo to this. Maybe we wanted to, let's see, let's add this little logo. And that will change the publication icon, which is, I believe it's the same thing as the favorite icon. And so it's probably what you're used to seeing. We can change the logo of the actual page itself pretty easily there. So that changed that icon. And then if we go under theme, this is where we can change and maybe where the logo is located. I want it on the left. I can change my accent color as far as my background, different sort of sign up headings. I have my landing page as, you know, what kind of page am I going for? What kind of layout? So this is something that you might be used to having a little bit more flexibility with WordPress, because with WordPress, the home page is an actual page. It's similar to the way you have pages and posts, right? But with Ghost, it's not. The home page is kind of the way that it's laid out is dictated by the theme that you're running or the options that the theme gives you. So you may not be used to not being able to drag things around and drop them to where you want them to be, and that's your home page. And that's something to take into account when you're deciding if you want to go with Ghost or not. There are plenty of other themes to choose from. So if we back out and let's go to themes, we can change our theme, and they have a list of them that you can immediately download into Ghost right from this page. There are other third-party theme providers like ThemeForest that does have a section for Ghost. Now it's not as extensive as like WordPress. The prices are sometimes higher, so that's also something to consider. You can find some free ones, and so there's some good ones. And if you don't like the way that a theme looks, you can change its coding. You can modify the code and then use it that way. But it does require a little bit of CSS knowledge or HTML knowledge. So as you're experimenting with that, you can change them. There's nothing preventing you from doing that, but it's not as easy as it is with WordPress, is kind of what I'm saying. So if you did say, you know, maybe I like this headlines one, you can click on headlines and you can install it. Move down a little bit. You can install it up here. And then we can just activate it. And so now once that's activated, let's go back. And now we can customize that. So this one has a little bit more customization, or actually a little less theme customization than the last one did. And you can still change where the logo is, but not as much as far as the way that the page looks. So the flexibility of the theme is going to really depend on the person that wrote it. So you may find that some are more flexible than others. So if you did want to change the appearance, most likely you'd be doing that through like HTML or like CSS, or a combination of both. So in order for you to use the newsletter feature, this is something that might be kind of a gotcha for you. You do have to set up Mailgun, and with Mailgun, there is a free trial that you can set up for 30 days to evaluate it and send so much email. But after that, it will become a pay service. It's pretty cheap. I think you can get away with like a $15 a month plan for and that's like 10,000 emails or something. So it's not exactly going to break the bank, but it is something that you should be aware of. All right, so as we scroll down a little bit further, we have our different integrations. We have a couple that are standard. They come built in with Ghost. But if you had your own integration, like I use N8N to do a lot of my automatic posting, you can come in and go to a custom one, or you can add your custom integrations here, and we type in like say N8N, and that'll give us we can upload an icon, we can name it, give it a description, and then it gives us the API keys, both the content API and the admin API. Most likely you'll be using the admin API because that does have a lot more privileges and will allow like a program like N8N to do a lot more. Okay, we are almost done. Migration tools. So if you are using WordPress, there is a cool plugin that you can load just called, I think, Ghost, and you can export your entire site into either JSON or zip file. And then you can use this universal import to drag that file onto this page, and it will import all of your like existing posts and pages into Ghost. And it'll also attempt to do the images too, but it's kind of hit or miss. So something to just be prepared. It's not always perfect, but it definitely does at least try, and it prevents you from having to do a lot of copying and pasting. Lastly, we have our code injection for the entire site. So if there is something that you wanted to change, like a CSS value, but you didn't want to go in and modify all the files that are under the themes folder, then you could come in here and add this site header, which will overwrite what the theme is pushing, which can help you customize a little bit. But this one right here is for the entire site. You have site header, and you also have site footer. Last couple of things, we have labs. So if there's any sort of experimental options or new things that are kind of almost in like a beta, you can enable them or not, totally up to you. So this one gives you the option of showing post excerpts in line. You can do that. There's also different, you can modify the redirects and the routes. So if they go to a certain page, maybe it does one thing. And then we have history. This is a list of everything that anybody has done, so it's kind of like an audit trail. And lastly, the delete all content. So this is the big nuke button that destroys all the posts and all the pages that you have created. So use that sparingly. That was a lot, but that should give you a good idea of, do you really want to go the Ghost route? I did, because I wanted a simple page that was fast, that looked good, responded well, and didn't require me to keep up with security updates and plugins and updates for those plugins. And with Ghost, it's a smaller market share, so the list of vulnerabilities isn't as long, and it's not as big of a target as like WordPress is. So next up, I'm going to show you how to install it. The installation is not going to take you any time at all. It's extremely easy. They make it almost effortless. Mostly the largest amount of time in this video was really spent explaining all the different features of Ghost. So let's jump over to the installation, and let's get you set up with your own like instance of Ghost, so you can experiment with it and see if it's something that you might want to run on your own. For this one, we are just going to jump straight to the Docker page. So if you go to hub.docker.com/_ghost/ghost, This is URL down here. You'll see at the bottom too. This will bring you to the Ghost page. You can also Google it if you want to. If you just type in Ghost and Docker Hub, it'll probably be like the first thing that'll show up. As we hit up this page, let's scroll all the way to the bottom and let's find what we want as far as using Portainer. So I'm going to use the Docker Compose file. That'll let us set up a stack. Very easy to do. So let's copy this guy and let's head over to Portainer and let's go to stacks. And then let's go to add stack and let's give this a name. I'm just going to call it Ghost and let's paste in here. So as I do with all of my Docker videos, I like to break down and explain what the compose file is doing, because we should really never deploy something that we are not sure what exactly is going on. So if we zoom in a little bit, let's take a look. So the image that we're going to be using is Ghost, and it's going to be version 5-Alpine. That's fine. Our restart policy is set to always, which means if our server does go down, this Docker Compose file will automatically fire up. Next, we have our ports. Now, this is something that I'm going to change because mine is going to be internet facing, and I'm going to be running it through Nginx Proxy Manager, which will allow me to add a SSL certificate to it. So I'm going to comment those out. I'm going to hit the pound or hash sign there, and that will comment that out. So it's not going to expose that port to the internet for anybody just to stumble across. All right, next up, we are defining that the client will be a MySQL server. We are going to be using the host name of DB, which is defined down here as well. We are going to be using the username of root. That's fine. We're going to be using a password of example. I'm going to change that to super strong 55. And I'm going to copy that. I'm going to need that here in a second. After that, we have our database name is just going to be called Ghost. That's fine. I really don't care. We do have our URL, and we will need to correct that because if not, it's going to lead to some broken images and really bad times. So I'm going to call this https://, and I'm going to be calling my site. I'm going to be using ghost.synhao.com. And that's all set. Next up is our volumes, and this Docker Compose file is doing exactly what we want it to do. We want it to create volumes inside of Portainer 2 that we can manage from within this software. So that's cool. That's what happens when you just use like kind of a word instead of defining a path here. Next up, we have our database. So we're pulling our database. The image is going to be MySQL using version 8 with an always restart policy, and the MySQL root password is example. This is where we're going to want to change this to what we had it up here. And after that, volumes is the same way. Our database is going to be under the DB volume, and here is the path under the container. And at the very bottom is where we are defining our volumes and having them be created. So that's all good. If you ever wanted to, you could also replace these two right here with an environment variable, but I think for now we'll just leave it the way that it is. It should be fine. I mean, like you could put it down here. There'll be environment variables anyway, but you could always, if you have multiple places, you could always define them at the bottom, but that's neither here nor there. So, all right, let's do this. I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to go ahead and deploy this guy. So if we did everything right, we should have that cute little success. And now this has went through, and if we go under Ghost, I want to show you something really interesting that you might worry you initially, but I want to make sure that you're prepared and kind of ahead of it. If you're looking under our statuses right here, you can see that there's a bunch of connection refuse. And if you're trying to get to the site right now, it's probably going to be giving you an error out. But that's because when you first deploy this, the database has to have time to spin up and configure itself. So right now, the Ghost container is trying to establish a connection with the database and set up everything for you. but it's running into a problem where it can't connect to it because it's not fully booted. It's not fully initialized and set up on the SQL side. So in a second here, these error messages will go away on their own. And in the future, it won't be an issue because it only has to do this database initialization once. So let me wait around just for a second and we'll show you what that looks like when that's actually succeeding. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. So you see right here, all these creating tables. That means it's successfully connected and your website should be available any minute. But what we need to do first, so we need to go ahead and set up our DNS records. So we're going to go ahead and jump over to Namecheap and let's set up our subdomain. If you are making a web page and there's not going to be a subdomain involved, then you can also just change this @ symbol and change the IP address next to the @ symbol. And that means anybody that goes to synhao.com will go to your server. But what we're going to do is we're going to set up a subdomain because maybe we don't want it, just at the main domain level. I'm going to call it Ghost. I'm going to copy this IP address, paste it in here and hit save. That's all you got to do. Pretty easy. All right, let's do this. Let's jump back over to Portainer. Looks like everything is setting itself up quite nicely. Let's go to our containers. So what we need to do right here is we need to add Nginx Proxy Manager. We need to add it to the same network as Ghost. So we click on that. We scroll all the way to the bottom and we select our network. We hit the Ghost default and we hit join. So Portainer created that network for you automatically when you didn't specify anything under the container, which is fine. I mean, it's Ghost_default is fine with me. All right, so we have added that to our Ghost network and we can see down at the very bottom that it is getting an IP address, which is good. All right, if we head over to our Nginx Proxy Manager now, and once we've signed into this, we want to add a host. So I'm going to click on Add Host up here. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to specify my domain name, which is going to be ghost.synhao.com. Enter. Now I want to specify the host name of the Docker container. So if I go back, I go under containers. So once I'm back here, I can see that my host name or my container name is ghost-ghost-1. And I can tell there's a difference between the app and the database because this one has DB in it. And if you don't like the names of these, you can always change them. There's nothing stopping you. Let's see, after we copy that, let's head back to our Nginx and let's paste it in here. Now we need our port number. Did you remember what that was? Did you write it down? I didn't write it down. So I don't know what it is. There's a couple of different ways you can find it. We can always jump back to Portainer and go under stacks and edit it if you want to. Or one of the easiest ways, just go back to the place where you got the Docker Compose file. Right here, we can see it. 2368. We're going to copy that guy. And we're going to head back to the proxy manager. I'm going to zoom back in. We're going to paste this. I'm going to go ahead and block common exploits. I'm going to enable WebSocket support and I'm going to save. After that, let's make our traffic secure because right now it says HTTP only and that is not secure traffic. So you click on the three little dots right here and we click on edit. And now we go under SSL and we select our certificate and say request a new one. I'm going to force SSL. I'm going to agree to the terms of service and then I'm going to hit save. And if everything went well, we should be good to go with a Let's Encrypt certificate. So let's jump back out. And let's click on ghost.synhao.com and let's see if we get anywhere. Cool. Here we go. Here's our site. So remember in the intro video where I showed you how to get to the admin section, we go to /ghost here at the very end of that URL. Here's that prompt that you'll need to fill out, and this will set you up with your admin credentials. It'll be like somehow in. And just make sure you do a nice complicated password. And there we go. Dark mode. And here, this will take you through basically a lot of the same stuff that I talked you through, but it'll kind of familiarize yourself with the platform, or you can just skip it and then jump right to the dashboard. Either way. All right, guys. Well, I hope this was beneficial. I hope you gained some insight into Ghost, and maybe you're even inspired to create a website or two. I think, if you ask me, I think this would be perfect for a site where, you know, the content doesn't change a whole bunch. Maybe like a business site or something like that, a corporate site, because it's stable, it's fast, really is fast, and it doesn't take much to run, and you know, pretty much anybody can manage it, really. The hardest part really is just honestly the editing of and customization of the appearance. So it may require a little bit of coding knowledge or a little bit of CSS, but in the end, you know, ChatGPT is a thing and can definitely help you out with CSS if you run into any roadblocks. All right, guys, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Otherwise, I appreciate you spending the time with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.